Dennis Horton. He's the director of the Rockford branch of the Better Business Bureau. Dennis, good morning to you.
Good morning, Riley. How you doing?
Doing very well, thank you. Hey, the last time you were on, we got talking about the calls, the do not call list, and the fact that the phones are still burning up with people trying to get in touch with you. And you had made the point that, that do not call registry works for people who are law abiding, but those who aren't going to pay any attention to it whatsoever. The interesting thing is, since we spoke 2 weeks ago on this one, the volume of calls that I have gotten at home has doubled. I'm not blaming you.
No, I'm sure you're not. But I am a little, I'm speechless by that because I've heard this from not just you, but many other people. And in fact, the number of calls that I'm getting have increased. And what I'm seeing is the calls that are coming to my phone are mostly the neighbor spoofing calls where the area code and the prefix are the same as mine. And then there's a number. These calls that I am getting are either from Belvedere or allegedly from Belvedere or from Rockford. And it's what the scammers are doing now. These robo-dialing calls, it's lucrative. And they're stepping up their game. With technology, it is very difficult to put a halt to this, although there are great efforts to do so.
And I'm glad to hear it because it's turning out now that I think I have more people on my blocked list than I actually have in my contacts.
I was talking with a lady yesterday who was she said, it's at a point in time for her that she almost refuses to answer the phone.
It's that way with me as well. Unless I recognize the number or your name pops up because you're in my contacts, I generally don't. I'll wait for a voicemail, and I may call you back immediately afterwards, but I want to make sure it's somebody that I want to be bothered with to begin with.
And that's the best action to take.
I'm glad because I'm to the point now that I'm thinking I don't know what else to do. But it seems that every other time the phone rings now, whether we're one of those antiquated couples who still has a landline, and we have our cell phones, so they in conjunction they work as a trio of fielding all of these telemarketer calls or scams or whatever's working. They're not all scams, but they're still in violation of me being on the do not call registry.
Exactly. And, everyone who, as you pointed out, the people who always say to me, well, that doesn't work. Well, it does, in fact, work with legitimate businesses. Law-abiding businesses do not make those calls. It's those who are breaking the law, and they don't care.
No, they certainly don't. And other than, being caught by feds walking through their door and slapping bracelets on them, they're probably not going to be made to care either.
And when that does happen, what you should do, if you get a call and you have that phone number, and it doesn't even have to be a repeated call, if you get a robocall, go to ftc.gov and file a complaint because they will follow up on it and they will track that number down, and they can face a fine of anywhere from $500 to $16,000 per call. So when they get caught, they feel it.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, that sort of fine would get your attention. Now,
yes, it does.
You had mentioned in an email, I want to ask you about this because I'm completely unfamiliar with the term. What is tab nabbing?
It is, I, too, one of the things we've talked about is that every day on this job, there's something new. And during what is Digital Spring Cleaning Month, it was brought to our attention here at the BBB of something that actually came about. The term was coined in, I think, 2010 or somewhere around there. Tab nabbing. We often have a lot of tabs open on our computers, our laptops, and one of the problems with doing that, especially if you are leaving open a tab for your bank or your credit card or whatever it is, some financial institution. What scammers are doing now and have the technological ability to do is to fish your tabs and change those open tabs to a website that is theirs. Oh. You are trusting that tab that you open to be the same tab at your bank, when in fact it is now changed. And because you're logging into a new website, it's going to ask you again for that information that you had originally put in. And now you are providing your user ID and password. You may not be putting in your personal financial information, but what you have done is giving them access to your account.
Yeah, you've given them a back door into, they don't need to ask you for these numbers because by doing this, they can get them another way.
Exactly.
Wow, that's pretty insidious. I was unaware that sort of technology was around.
It is amazing what technology how it has advanced us, but how it has also put us at a disadvantage.
Yeah, absolutely, because, you think you're just being prudent. I was here on this tab, and I'm going to go over here for a minute. I'll come back to that later on. But by leaving it open, so your smartest course of action is any financial stuff that you have brought up, the minute you're done, make sure you log out.
And very often, the website will say, whether you're on a public or a private computer, close this tab.
Okay.
It's the best thing to do.
Now, would the same thing work? Let's say, all right, you've got Amazon up, and you've been doing it. You leave that open long enough, somebody can switch that out on you as well? It doesn't seem to me like it would be out of the realm of possibility.
Absolutely. It doesn't matter what tab it is. They will fish the tabs you have open, and those that could reap benefit for them, that's the one they will attack.
Wow. And I'm willing to bet that a lot of this is originating overseas.
Well, a lot of it very often is exactly where it's coming from, Riley, and who is doing it. My information at this point doesn't detail that information. We just know it's happening.
I can believe that, yeah, because these guys, if they're good enough to figure out how to get into your tabs on your computer, they're probably good enough to cover their tracks while they do it.
At least for a while. They'll eventually be caught, but or at least we'll know exactly where they're coming from and can be able to do some things that are more protective for ourselves.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, I'm really glad you raised the flag on this one for us, because I think I can't be the only person who's going, well, I didn't know that could happen. Well, now you do, thanks to Dennis and the Better Business Bureau. So, make the proper steps so you don't become a statistic, or you don't have to call Dennis and go, hey, that thing you alerted us to? Yeah, I've been caught up in it.
Yes, and then we'll try to figure out what we can do to help.
Yeah, what a mess. ID theft protection services.
What I'm often asked is, should I get an ID protection service?
Like LifeLock or something like that?
Yes, exactly. LifeLock, Identity Guard, Identity Fraud. There are a host of them. The problem with this is that many people think that when I get this identity theft protection, is that it's identity theft prevention. It is not.
No.
It is only going to alert you when something bad has happened. So you have to decide here if you just want to be alerted to the fact that things have gone awry on you, and pay monthly for a fee. Pay that fee, which could be anywhere from like $10 a month to nearly $30 a month. LifeLock is the most expensive ID Freeze, my FICO, is the most expensive at $29.95. But you really have to look at what you're paying for. So you're not paying for prevention. You're paying for them doing the work for you should your identity be stolen. All of the things that they can do for you, that you will pay for, you can do for yourself as quickly, for free, with the assistance you can get from the Federal Trade Commission or from the Attorney General's office or from our office.